What we're looking at here is the Wyze application. There are several things going on here, mainly because, well, I have a lot of Wyze devices. We're going to scroll down here to the single Wyze bulb, and yes, I know that's spelled wrong, but it's okay. It's easier for the voice assistant to pick up. From here, you can turn on and off your bulb, and you can probably tell that it's getting brighter over there because I have the light right there. So toggling it on and off, you can see it's rather quick to respond, but we can select the bulb itself and play with things. So this stuff, in order to actually see what we're doing, we have to turn it on. And then from here, we can control the color temperature. Now, this will be difficult to see, so when I show you the grouping later, we'll take a look at that. So also, we can change the color temperature. That might be a little easier to see off camera just there. In the upper left-hand corner here, you have timers. So you can have it turn on or off after a specific amount of time. So if we wanted to turn it off after being on for 2 hours, we would do this and hit start. Or we can say on, so turn light on after 2 hours. So if the light is in the off position, it would turn itself on in 2 hours. Now we're not going to do that. Obviously you saw me playing with the toggle there for on off. Now I'm going to do two things. I'm going to push this here and push this here because adding a scene requires that you set up a scene. So you are setting a specific color temperature and brightness, and we're going to say add scene, and we are going to say test. And then hit save. What that'll do is if I go over here and turn everything up, selecting test will lower all the things back to my preset. Now you can have several scenes set up. Now the one thing is, when you tap on scene, it just automatically triggers the scene. Pressing and holding will allow you to edit the scene name, but you can't delete the scene from this screen. We have to come up here to this sprocket, which will then bring us to a more in-depth menu. First being, we have Wyze bulb, so that's the name. We can edit the name there. We can turn on or off vacation mode from here. So in vacation mode, what will happen is the light will turn itself on and off, mimicking you being home. Now, the one thing that I have found with Wyze and their implementation of this is that they do not allow you to adjust time frame as to when that on-off happens. They choose for you. So down here we have scenes. Here we have one scene. So here is my test scene. This is either where you can update it, but again, that's just the name, or you can delete it. So we come over here, press on the minus sign. Do we want to delete? Yes. And then we're going to go back. As you can see, it does take a little bit for it to register the fact that that scene is no longer there. Share device, clicking on that will allow you to share this device, just like the camera, with an authorized user. You have to share with user, you come down here and select their email address. They will need a Wyze account because they need to have access to the app. Coming back, schedule and automation. Now, this is one of the things that Wyze does very well. You can schedule automation. So what that means is I can set a specific day and time that the light bulb turns off, and then a specific day and time that the light bulb turns on. Now, this is kind of like, I won't say vacation mode, but this is like scheduling because that's what this is. So we would come up here and press plus, and we can say add a shortcut, which would add a shortcut to this area here or at the top of the Wyze application. We're not going to necessarily add a shortcut. We can do a schedule, or we can add device trigger. So if you happen to have a Wyze sense or a Wyze motion, you can set it so that if it senses motion or the sense is triggered, the light will come on. In this case, I'm going to show you what the schedule would look like. So we would come in here, we would select one of these. So here we've got a grouping, which again, we'll show you later. But right now we're just going to say Wyze bulb. We want to turn it on, select the brightness. So current setting, soft white, white. You can come through here and select exactly what you would like. So we'll say cool white. So we want turn on as opposed to turn off. So that was us playing with turn on. Then we can come down here and select turn off. Oop. Turn on and then go next. Or you can do turn off and go next. So we're just going to leave it on turn on, select next. And then you would say turn on Wyze bulb at, and then you specify a time, and then you can add an end time as well, which means that after this time period, it would turn itself off, and then you hit done. And what that will do is that adds a new rule that will trigger that particular bulb. Now, if I come up here, device triggers, as we were talking about before, if you have a sense or emotion, you can add a device trigger or you can add an action. So if we come down to add an action, we will say workshop, and you can select turns on, detects motion, blah, blah, blah. So that'll be very similar to the add device trigger, meaning here's the movement, it detects movement, becomes clear, and we go next. And then we can add an action, which would then be the Wyze bulb will turn itself off. And then we hit save, and that will add another rule, and we're just going to discard, to this laundry list that I have here. A lot of these are pertaining to my Wyze cameras. I do have a few for the Wyze Sense and Wyze Motion. Coming back, that was schedules and automation. Device info will show you a lot of sensitive information, but it will let you know the network strength and all that fun stuff. Checking for firmware update, you click on that, and you can check and see if your firmware is up to date or not. And you can also remove the device from here. And we're going to go back. So that is all that we can do with the Wyze bulb. Now, coming down to the group, which you can see I accidentally turned on, so we're just going to turn that off, because Wyze bulbs is the group that I created. So here you can see if you have a group set up, you can turn on and off the group, have that scheduled just like we did before. We can turn these on to 100%, and you'll notice down here each of these changes in kind. So daylight 100%, white light 100%, back up there. We'll change that to 50% and then back up. If you needed to, in a group, you can toggle on and off individual ones. You can also change the colors of just this particular bulb in the group. And then this is just bringing up the larger view of the group. If we were to select settings for the group, you have the name of the group, you have bulbs in this group, you can turn that vacation mode on or off. Scenes, just like before, if you needed to set up a scene for this grouping, you could do that. Well, you could do that back here too, but this was if you needed to edit the scenes. And then schedules and automation, as well as deleting the group. Now, I will say with the groups itself, the group name Wyze bulbs is not picked up by your Amazon Echo devices or your Google Home devices. You do need to set up individual groups within those in order for the group to work correctly. It doesn't just automatically pick it up from the Wyze app, which is, I don't want to say disconcerting, but it's a little, I wish it would have. But that is everything that you can do with your Wyze bulbs in the Wyze application. So